This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now, 40-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Good morning and welcome to the show. This is Rowena Patton. I'm here with you today. I wanted to start off today with some gratitude. Randy, the producer, and I were just talking about that off air before we just went live. And thank you to all of you who listen. Many of you become my sellers and buy with us at All Star Powerhouse. I just wanted to say thank you because I go in and I meet with people who say, I've been listening to you for 11 years, and we always said back then that we would sell our house with you should we ever go around to get around to selling our house. So thank you. I've also even been in where a lady had lost her husband, and she said, all this time my husband listened to you, and I know that he would have wanted to list with you. So thank you. I mean, just very sweet stories that I hear from people. Of course, I don't know you're out there listening, and one day you call me years later and say, let's at least talk about listing and what it looks like. So, gosh, what does it look like when you think about selling your house? Well, the first thing it looks like is thinking about it. You sit down one night and you go, maybe it is time to sell. Most people don't land there very quickly. It's something you think about for a while. So, I helped somebody recently who only bought his house last year, and he really wanted to get out. He'd lost his job, and he really wanted to get out from under the mortgage. And the reason he wasn't selling it now is because he didn't want to pay capital gains tax. So if you haven't owned your home for 2 years and you make a profit on your home, you're most likely, not always, depends on how you handle it. There's all kinds of strategies for that too. We talk here about strategies a lot. There are ways to avoid it or at least tax defer it with a 1031 exchange or other ways you can do it. However, most often you're going to be paying that capital gains tax. But here's the thing, you've probably got costs to set against the purchase. You've probably done some remodeling. You will have costs then on selling the purchase. So the amount that you're paying capital gains on is not a whole lot. So it's good news, bad news, right? It's like if you make a lot of money, you're going to pay a lot of taxes. Good news, bad news. You're making a lot of money, so therefore you get to pay a lot of taxes. And of course, there's all kinds of ways of tax deferring that too. But that's a whole other show, and I am not a financial Can we have a financial disclaimer in there, Randy, please? Can you do the...
Oh gosh, I can't remember the verb. Your what is it they say? Your results may vary.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not a financial advisor, but there are always ways through things. Sometimes it takes thinking outside of the box a little bit. Generally, in real estate, you've got 3 or 4 choices. It's really 3 choices and tactics around those 3 choices. So you stay in the home you're at, whether that's your rental or the home that you've owned for 40 years or 2 years or 6 months for that matter. So that's the thing, stay. Understand the economic cycle of 7 to 11 years. The last one was like 14 years. Whew, that's a long time. So, who knows whether it will be 7, 11 or 14 years this time around before we reach that peak again. Doesn't mean to say that prices are crashing or anything else. Like anything else in the stock market, like anything else in the economic cycle, we go up and down in bumps. For example, we just had a bump in February where home sales were 14% higher than 2020. So we had a bump in February. Of course, why am I talking about February? It's almost the end of March because those figures are always a month behind. Mm-hmm. So that's what you get to see there. It's a month behind. So, however, we had that 14% bump. And I'm doing, it's that time. It's spring season. People are thinking about listing, getting ready to list. So I'm getting a lot of calls on valuations. You can start yours. It's just an auto valuation, but at least it will check out the square footage and everything else. allstarsellers.com. All-star sellers. So if you want to be an all-star seller, that's where you start. You start your search, and all you do is you put your address in, click a button, and it will send you back the auto value. The great thing is you get to amend that room by room. So if your kitchen's fully remodeled, or if it isn't, you can up or down the value on that room. You can do it on the bathroom, on the bedrooms, on anything else that you've got of value there, so you can take the value up and down. allstarsellers.com. Again, this is Rowena Patton. I work at All Star Powerhouse, brokered by EXP. I am a real estate agent. I run an amazing team of people, my All Stars out there, and big thanks to them as well. They do a lot with community servers, mountainhomesforheroes.com. You can go there and take a look at what we do. We've given back hundreds of thousands of dollars to the community. Shout out there to David Heim, who brought the goodie bag in the other day. Not the medals when he brought them in a couple of months ago, but he went into my office the other day and took a great kind of giveaway basket. And he's always in big support of the heroes. So
Great.
Thank you, Sir David, if you're listening. I know you're a frequent listener out there. So that's your choice. So stay in the house where you're at. If you rent a house, then a good strategy might be stay in the house for 3.5 to 5.5 years. That's the bottom. 3.5 to 5.5 years. Now, look at your family. Maybe you're in a couple. Maybe you have children, a child, pets, whatever it is. Is that rental going to serve you well for the next 3.5 to 5.5 years? So just think about that. Now, it may be, wow, yeah, but we're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. Probably not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, we don't know, right? So, and if you're buying it in the millions, that might be the case. But that's a very small percentage of the population. So let's look at what that looks like. The average rent is about $2,000, and we're going to wait for 3.5 years. Well, let's say we're just going to wait for 1 year. That's $24,000. So if you look at it that way, you've already got a reduction of $24,000 that the house that you purchase can take. You've already got that cushion built in. If you wait 2 years, that's $48,000. That would be a huge drop, but even $24,000, right? So in other words, if you buy it now, you've got all that rent that you're not paying out that gives you a cushion to when you would have bought it. So let's see if I can do the math on this one. Yes, it's $48,000, $68,000, $72,000 in 3 years. So if you wait 3 years paying rent of $2,000, you'll have paid $72,000. Your rental income would have paid somebody else's mortgage. And the market may stay flat. The market may even, we're seeing some increases in some places. So, this fixation in waiting till the bottom, people go, well, you can't time it. No, you really can. The question is, does it make any sense? Because rents are high. And do you want to be in your rental for the next 3.5 to 5.5 years to the bottom? Because if that's your argument, we need not to buy because it's just the fact of, waiting for prices to drop. That doesn't make sense. Now, if you don't know where you're going to be in a year, maybe you've got a job that moves you around a lot, it makes perfect sense. Unless you buy a house that you can Airbnb, that you can come back into. So, for example, traveling nurses are sometimes in that situation where they really want a home base. They've maybe been doing it for years. They really, really want a home base, but they want to be able to rent it out when they're not here. Well, even in the city of Asheville, if you have a permit, you can rent out part of your house. So that would be a house with a basement, for example, or a house with a small apartment, for example. That as a traveling nurse, you could be renting out the whole house or at least the apartment, right? Even in the city of Asheville where Airbnb is somewhat limited, you have to get special permits and all kinds of things. However, that could be an option for you. And of course, there aren't just short-term rentals, there are longer-term rentals. Many people are moving into the area and they want to rent something for 3 months, for 6 months. So, that's strategy one. Again, it's Rowena Patton here, All-Star Powerhouse, brokered by EXP. If you've just tuned in, go take a look at your home value. Make sure your square footage is correct. allstarsellers.com. And of course, if you want a full valuation, I need to see what you've got. We need to see, what's there. And please don't be embarrassed. Almost every time I go to see somebody, it's like, wow, this bulb's out there, or the dogs have been running rampant, so there's dog hair all over the place, or the beds aren't made today, or I really don't want you to see it yet because we're making all these improvements. I've been involved with over 3,000 sales. There's honestly nothing that can surprise me at this point. So
I'll bet.
don't try and surprise me. I'm not asking for surprises. I'd really like not to have surprises. However, I'm not judging you. And come in my house any day of the week. Our house is, we do our best like everybody else. We have 3 dogs. Like, it's not going to be show ready all the time. That's normal. And we probably all worry way too much about it. I got up this morning. Sophie had pooped on the floor. Thank you, Sophie. But, what are you going to do? It's life. Many people have dogs who poop on the floor. I mean, it just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's getting a diaper on next week, I think. So, there's your thing. So if you're renting or if you own your house right now, your option is to stay put. So what's the other option? If you're going to sell it, my advice would be get out now. I know I've been telling you that for a couple of years because I've seen this coming. The economic cycle, Clement Juglar set it up in 1860. It's not changed since. Do we have some longer cycles, shorter cycles? Yes. It averages 7 to 11 years. We're at 14 years, so I saw this coming, and it came around Christmas to where we flattened out, we'll bump up and down a little bit, and then we'll go back up again. And just like always, 99% surety that houses will be worth more in, let's say, 10 years, the next peak of the cycle. The real question is, does it suit you now? Right? So if you are in that home, and again, you've all heard me talk about this, there are so many homes I see people in. I was there myself a decade ago. I went through a divorce. A divorce is, well, I don't know. Some people go, oh, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I don't know many people who say that. It's a very traumatizing event. You get through it eventually. And I was stuck in this marital house for 3 years. It was insanity. I never should have left myself there. But you're in that mode in your mind. Randy, you and I were talking about this before we got on air today. I must have got here too early, Randy. We put the world to rights before we got on air. And it's all about mindset, where your mind's at and what you can cope with at the time. But what did you say about the snowball effect, Randy? When you start getting your mind to do things?
When you turn the corner, when you get the procrastination element out of the equation and start making the phone calls, doing the things that you've been dreading, having the conversations you need to have. When you start doing those things, it is a snowball effect. You start feeling better. You start, there's that not dread isn't out there because I took care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, many of us have been in that trauma. Maybe we've lost a parent. Maybe we're stressed out. Maybe we're having panic attacks and anxiety. Maybe we've lost a partner. Maybe we have a health issue going on. And gosh, it's hard to keep the faith sometimes.
Maybe you have nothing going on that's bad. Maybe there's no reason on the face of this earth that you should be feeling depressed or anxious or in a funk. No reason in the world.
And then you feel guilty, right? Now you're feeling guilty because why am I depressed and under the weather or can't get off my butt? When other people are dealing with, severe issues. Severe storms that are coming in.
Amen.
So how is it that I can't do this? And then you feel guilty, which makes you feel even worse. Because we have that committee in our heads that's going,
you should have done this.
You should have done this.
You should be having...
You're not smart enough to do that. You're going to mess it up all over again, just like you did last time. Your mum told you were never college material. Your dad told you're never going to make anything in this life. Whatever it is, that freaking committee in your head.
Got to get rid of those voices.
And they're kids. So I've done exercises with people before, actually. So my favorite thing to do is to teach and coach. And I've done it with agents around the country. And there's an exercise that's actually very fun. And I call it kids in the back. So it's kids in the back seat. So, when you have that feeling of, I can't do this. When I go, so, okay, you can't do this. Who is that talking? Like, who, at what stage in your life did you feel like you couldn't do this because X, Y, Z? And then you name the kid in the back. And what I can tell you is each one of those naysayers, those freaking little naysayers in your head, are all below 14. And all the people I've done this exercise with, and there's usually a whole crew of them. And what you do is you attack, and when you have that feeling come up and you start feeling anxious and you're like, oh, I just can't get the bail bills paid on time. I'm getting anxiety about opening the mail, whatever it is. Can anybody identify with that out there? I'd love to hear about what you worry about today. 828-240-9962.
We'll quell
You're calling in from Mars, 800-517-9962. Or, of course, if you've got questions about what should you do to your house to get it ready for listing, I would love to hear those questions. 828-240-9962. Because a lot of that stuff that you're doing, you don't need to be worrying about. That's the naysayers in the back seat. Right?
That piece of carpet will keep you from selling the house.
Yes, exactly. It's the 14-year-old that goes, what will the neighbours think when they see the pictures? You're going to have an open house and they're all going to come in and see it. And they'll think you're not a good father, mother, brother, sister. Keep going. Housekeeper, yeah. Oh, she didn't keep house very well.
Uh-huh.
Like, all that stuff is, the kids in the back seat are what are holding us back from getting onto to that next move. Many, many people I go to see have been thinking about selling for years. I have a couple right now who actually moved into an assisted living space, or a space that could become an assisted living place. Early 80s. The lady was in her mid-70s. He was 80. And they've been thinking about this for years. And I hear from her, I wish we'd done this sooner.
That is most of the responses I hear too.
Yeah.
A community of people of like mind and age and activity level and food service and health care and home maintenance. And all of these things are now taken care of. And there's a plan when we need more. Yeah. It's here.
Well, and it's when I think, I ask you today to think about what's going around in your head about what you're concerned about where you're living. So, for example, I have a 28-year-old who bought last year and, is nervous to sell. So he's just procrastinating. And, I'm helping them find a job and get back on the mortgage payment basis and nudging along to talk to the bank to say, hey, I lost my job. So, I hope that they get a job, everything's good, and they bid off a bit more than they can chew with the mortgage. But the point is Mum's got a big house with a guest house. That guest house is available. Mum said, come on in. Go on in and sell your house.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. If you were my son or my brother, I'd be saying, sell the house. What are you going to pay? $5,000 in capital gains or nothing? Are you going to wait it out 2 years for that? 3.5 years to 5 years is when we expect to be at the bottom of the market. So you're going to lose constant value, and you're keeping yourself in that scary, anxious state. And we've got enough going on in the world right now.
Ooh.
I mean, just with natural storms alone, the tornado, my heart goes out to you there.
Mississippi last night.
Yes, so awful.
23,
I think we're up to, but it happened in the dark. So as daylight comes and there's no cell towers, and you look at that devastation and you think,
what have I got to worry about?
What have I got to worry about? Absolutely. And there's two houses standing on a, there's only one piece of video that they've been showing. So, I don't know, we're on there. We don't know what they're showing right now, but two pieces of video that show one street completely devastated apart from two houses that don't have roofs.
Wow.
Then you think, what are you going to do? Build those two houses with nobody around you? It's like third world.
It is.
It's really, and it's happening right under our noses. And then the day before or the day before that, we have the two aliens coming across, illegals coming across in the train car that suffocated. It's bad news after bad news.
It is. It
really
is.
And if you dwell on that, I think, no wonder half the population's medicated.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, we had a...
Cannabis is becoming legal.
There you are. Yeah, that's true.
So it's all about attitude, right? And where you are in your life.
An attitude of gratitude. And we had such a good time here yesterday. I saw Mark Starling pull up in the parking lot. He's probably going to come in here and talk about this because he put a whole thing together. We had a wedding here yesterday.
Say who Mark is. Mark's our morning news anchor.
Mark Starling.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I don't know where he's at. He pulled in the parking lot. He may not be coming in. But we had such a great time here yesterday as John Roten, who has been the producer of the morning show with Mark for years, retired yesterday, and at the same time got married out on our rear deck here at Radio Ranch, and we had all of the crowd here, and love was in the air. It was a wonderful, wonderful day, and a good time to stop and say thank you. Thank you for a lot of friends, a lot of coworkers that we've worked with here for long years, and it was a great day.
And this is people who are listening. You know, we have people listening in Florida, in Texas, in South Africa. So just so you know, this studio is on a beautiful piece of land in Asheville. Yeah. We're almost downtown Asheville. How many acres, Randy?
65 acres.
65 acres. And it's surrounded by houses all around the 65 acres. But it's this massive plot of land with the big, radio towers on, and people walk their dogs. And
it's great. It's called Radio Ranch, and has been for many, many years, Radio Ranch, because there's a bunch of radio stations out here. And hey, there he is. He's the guy who put it on.
He's here. Oh, I wish you could all see him. Come say hi, darling. I've missed you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
And you officiated at a wedding yesterday.
I wedding planned it. I'm now adding wedding planner to my CV.
I cannot. I mean,
who better to plan your wedding than a 46-year-old bachelor? I mean, let's be honest about this, Rowena.
It's probably true in my book, but I'm also that woman that would not want that giant wedding.
And I think, yesterday couldn't have gone any better.
I agree.
I mean, it really was.
I want to see pictures. Phenomenal. This is fantastic.
The whole thing is online. If you go to the 570 Facebook page, the whole morning, all 3 hours are videoed. With the audio, the live music, and you can scroll through the first 2 hours and get to the 8 o'clock hour, and right about 30 minutes into the 8 o'clock hour is when the wedding happened. So it took a lot of planning and a lot of preparation, but we pulled it off. And
you pulled it off.
It was a total team effort. Like everybody here just kind of said, you know what, we need to make this super special for John.
And this is all his work colleagues. Like who wouldn't want to work at a place like this?
It was and the people that showed up yesterday, I mean, faces that I'd never seen before.
Yeah, it brought out some old timers.
Yeah,
it
was
really
great.
Did. Yeah.
I mean, we had friends that came down that are on the morning show on a regular basis. Ray Stajic from The Weather Guy came up from Atlanta.
Wow.
Will Mapp drove down from D.C. My friend Jack Spangler, he drove up from Florida just to come to this.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, and Cowboy, he earned every bit of it.
Oh yeah, he's been here how many years?
So the total career was 48.
Oh my God!
Years in radio.
When you add them all together, well, none of us have a consistent 48-year record in broadcasting.
Weren't you the first time that John Roten's voice was ever on the radio when he called in for a contest?
He told me that story yesterday. I was on the air and I had a contest going, and
it was
he called in before he came to work here,
and it was something about what do you want to do when what career, if you could have any career, what career would it be? And John said TV evangelist because they got all the money and all the women. Which is totally John Roten, if you know him. That set the tone for a 30-year career in Western North Carolina radio. So
he's such a great broadcaster. When he came along, I'd been here already 100 years, but when he came along, we found a guy who would work any shift, do any remotes, MC any concert, ride any elephant, put on any kind of costume.
And he'd do it well and better than anybody else.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. That's the kind of broadcaster John is.
But you can't go anywhere and people don't know him.
Oh, yeah.
It's usually the first question I get is, hey, how you doing? How's John doing?
Well, you're the same. Everybody knows you. You're the local celebrity.
No, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing things at me does not constitute celebrity status, okay? Now, I realize it's mostly city council, but it's fine. It's totally fine.
I've got my little water pistol, and I spray your car every time I say, because I'm driving by, and I'm like, that must be him, because your car's, I'm not going to say what it is, but you...
no, I don't have that anymore.
You don't?
I got rid of it. You're talking about the Challenger?
Who have I been spraying?
I don't know.
I am so sorry out there, green Challengers.
I haven't had that car in like almost 6 months.
Oh, oops. Oopsie doopsie.
That's all right.
I better check out your car now so I can make sure I can spot you. Can we put a sticker on it or something so we know it's you?
I try to keep it a low profile. Try to keep a low profile around town. So.
Oh my gosh, and I've been seeing it in different places thinking, hey, what's Mark up to?
Yeah, no, that's not me.
Now it explains
that's some poor
it.
other sod that's wondering, like, why is there all these water spots on my car? I just had this thing waxed.
Oh my gosh. What an honor. Mark Starling walks into my studio on a Saturday. I've missed you.
Where have you been?
Well, I moved to Mills River, and it's a bit more of a drive.
Well, it is a bit of a drive, yeah.
We sell all over the place, so I'm driving all the time, but...
I'm surprised you haven't tried to sell the lots out here.
I know, right.
Listen,
she keeps talking about
we
looking
could make,
at you.
listen, we could make
65
some money.
acres.
If we just have them start digging footers, it ain't like they're going to stop.
Let's do it.
You know?
Yurts. We can put yurts. Yeah,
there's somebody in a corner office right now that's having a mild stroke. I just want you to know that, like, they're thinking about selling our property.
I'm going to make you work for 2 minutes. What are you hearing about real estate?
Interestingly enough, I just saw the headline.
Yeah.
Asheville, top 10 market in the country for most competitive rent prices.
Unbelievable. Competitive being
like
high, you mean?
Very high.
Yeah.
So I just moved.
Yes.
I moved over from West Asheville. I got the hell out of Dodge there and went to, I'm kind of in the downtown South Slope area now.
Cool.
But it was only because a friend of mine had a rental property, and it was like, it just worked out at the right time.
Yeah.
My rent was going to go up. They were going to jack it up $200 again. So the prices here, I don't think we're going to see rental prices come down.
I think you're right.
I don't, as far as sales go, I see more. I feel like I've seen more for sale signs in yards, and I'm starting to wonder, are these people who bought secondary homes that are finding, hey, we went one time last year and this is really not worth it, and we don't want to do the Airbnb because it's kind of a hassle?
Pain in the butt, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's part. So, in a declining market, which is what we're in, it doesn't mean to say it'll decline 30%. It might decline 2%. And in 7 years' time, they'll all be worth more than they're worth now, just like they have been since 1860 with good old Clement Juglar when he set up the economic cycle.
Right.
This is not rocket science, right? So they're going up. However, when people get a little bit nervous in a market where the stock market's a little crazy and we're not sure what's going on.
Banks are collapsing. That
just the odd bank collapsing here and there. Oh, my gosh. Then second homes are the first to go.
Right. Yeah.
The next that struggle are townhomes and condos.
Right.
I think that's because when people start, pulling their belts in a little bit, then they're thinking about those condo fees.
Oh, yeah.
And there I say, okay, you're paying condo fees when you buy a condo. However, a huge part of that is insurance.
Right.
You're not paying your insurance anymore. So just remember that.
It's, I think people have options in a sense, but the rental market is so tight here, and most places are on a waiting list.
Oh,
and if you're looking to rent a house, you're not going to find a house for under $2,000.
Yeah.
And if you're going to pay $2,000 to rent, you might as well pay $2,000 to own.
What did we start off with this morning, Randy?
Right.
And I'm sorry for making you work. Not much, but I am a little bit. So I started off with the average rent at $2,000. So in a year, so people are going, well, wait until the bottom. That's 3.5 to 5.5 years statistically, or even longer based on the last cycle. Right. So in a year, you've paid $24,000 towards somebody else's mortgage, which means at the end of a year, even if your condo or house goes down $24,000, you're still zero sum, except that now you own a house.
Right.
You've got that tax relief from it, most likely. It's yours. You can go ahead and paint it, do whatever you want to do with it, and it's yours.
And it's not going to go up as far as what you pay a month, right? If you get it locked in, whereas if you rent, when month 11 comes around, and you get that letter, and they say, 60 days, you have to make a decision. Oh, by the way, your rent's going up $250.
You're right.
We've seen people here in this area
it's a blinding glimpse of the obvious.
who went from $900 to $1,300 just like that in 1 year. And
it's almost half on top.
Well, the average around here for the average salary, you can't afford that.
Yeah.
I mean, and you wonder how a family of four that has one parent working and the other taking care of children, I mean, it just doesn't work around here anymore. So, and again, like the bank instability, are we really surprised? Look, they put the guy that took down Lehman Brothers in charge of that bank. They were like, who would be great to run this financial institution is the guy that caused the 2008 financial breakdown in the entire market. Like, let's put him in charge of something.
And every one of them, bar one, didn't have experience running a bank. There was a liturgical dance teacher on the board of the bank.
And they were heavily invested in cryptocurrency, and they had a run.
Right.
Can I share my ignorance? What's a liturgical dance teacher?
You got me. I didn't look it up for fear I'd learn what it was, and then I'd have to get that off of my mind. But I mean, they were all about the ESG thing, right? So they were investing in companies that, while their service, their product might have been a good idea, the fact that they were so heavily involved in all of these, in the ways they went about doing it, they were so heavily invested in things that there was no return on.
Mm-hmm.
And if, the fear of the ESG is like, if you own a muffler shop
mm-hmm.
and you don't recycle everything that you can recycle, that goes against your ESG score. And then when you need to go get a loan to go build on another bay because business is good, the bank goes, you can't have that. We're not going to loan you that money because your score, your environmental score is not high enough. And by the way, you didn't donate enough or give enough to this program, so we can't give you money based on that number as well. And that's the fear of ESG because you're not far off social credit at that point where it's like, hey, the camera on Main Street saw you not pick up a piece of trash and now you're not allowed to use public restrooms for a month. That's China, right? I mean, you get put on, it's like being put on restriction as a child. Like you lose certain...
I don't like gum on the floor though, Mark.
What?
I don't like gum on the floor
Well, I just go by one rule in life. Never trust a communist. I feel like if you use that rule, you'll go a long way.
Well, no doubt. No doubt. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, my darling.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you moved.
We're going to be on tomorrow, right? Or Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll be on with Mark. It's
right.
always
8:05.
a thrill.
Every Monday morning.
I'll be here with a shiny bell on or something.
Right.
What am I supposed to put on? I don't know.
Pre-recorded so she doesn't have to get up at the ridiculous crack of dawn.
Is there any of that wedding cake left in there?
Oh, what a good
They
idea.
took it with them.
Oh.
No.
I think there's some stale goldfish up in the dish in the reception area. You look in some of these filing cabinets. There's probably some brown liquids floating around in there as well. Stay out of the newsroom, brown liquid, though. Okay, so don't go messing with Daddy's medicine. That's for Monday morning.
So, tell people out there what they should do when buying and selling real estate, Mark.
333-4483. That's 333-4483 or online, mountainhomehunt.com. That's mountainhomehunt.com. And then start packing.
There's no short-term
more than
memory loss there.
$800,000 donated to the Homes for Heroes program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's for, I keep watching Tenorsa Towers, and I thought this morning it's so interesting because I don't remember any ad campaign ever showing amputees.
Not like they have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they show it all the time because most people walking down the street don't get to see that.
Frank Siller's a good friend of the morning show.
Really?
The guy that created that. His brother was the one that ran from the tunnel to the towers.
Yes.
And did you know that when they do that race here in Asheville, we are one of only like 3 cities in the country that actually have a tunnel that race goes through, or that run goes through.
What?
Yeah. Really cool.
I want to be involved in that next time around.
Yeah, I think they do that I think they do that September 11th weekend or something like that, or the weekend before.
To do
yeah, absolutely. We'll get it.
Do I have to run?
No.
Okay.
You can walk.
Just checking.
Yeah. I ride.
Okay.
I ride.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you ride in an open top car?
I just ride. I just say, I'm not into this physical exercise.
Can we get some horses in a carriage?
Maybe a horse and a carriage, a golf cart maybe would be fun. Lark electric scooter. I'm an advocate for those.
Pope-mobile.
I've been trying to get them to get me a Segway, so when I have to go run down the hall and be with Eddie Fox and Amanda Fox in the morning time on Kiss, I can just ride down the hallway instead of run.
There you go.
Right? I mean, so I get my steps.
Can't we get a horse and carriage, though? Wouldn't that be fun?
We've got plenty of grazing room out here.
Right.
Minus where the kids tried to grow weed on the backside of the field over here.
Where's that? Just asking for a friend.
Just in case this radio thing doesn't work out, we're going into business.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, anytime.
And I'm sorry for hijacking your friend here today.
He's 333-4483.
Now get out of here. Bye, guys. How nice is that? Mark Starling pops in on his day off.
He forgot something here, I'm sure. He was coming to see if there's any wedding cake left over.
I'm sure his friend loves me when we hijack him like that. Oh, my gosh. So we're talking about the 3 options that you really have to think through when you're out there procrastinating. We all do that. Mine is opening mail. I have a fear of opening the mail. So, and I'm telling you this and being vulnerable because most people don't talk about this stuff. And because you're sitting at home going, this is ridiculous. It's one of the kids in the back going, stupid. What you scared of that for? You know, and it's not like I get up, I don't know, having hot flashes thinking about opening the mail. Well, I might sometimes. But then eventually I get to it and I don't even know what it's about. It's just a fear of opening the mail.
I'm so bad about that.
Oh, it's not just me.
No, because I'm so bad about that the post office will confiscate that when the mailbox overflows because I haven't been there. They'll
Cut you
take it
off.
away.
Yeah. Now, if you met Randy, he's a producer. He's been in the radio biz over 40 years. He's a successful man. He's had businesses. He's got a wonderful daughter. You would never in a million years think that Randy isn't like a completely put together man. And this is the story of today in social media, right? Because we all look at everybody else and think that they're all doing great. Their marriages are perfect. Their relationships are perfect. Their kids are perfect. Blah, 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 blah. It's nonsense.
Struggling with something.
Yes, everyone struggles with something. And that doesn't mean to say that you don't keep your faith and you don't keep your smile and you don't keep your joy and
You check the mail.
you check the mail. Yeah, checking the mail. It's one of those things that keeps you in chaos or something. If there's any good therapists out there that you know, ask them to give us a call, 828-240-9962.
We won't charge you.
Right. And the reason we talk about this stuff is because that's what real estate is about.
Yeah.
You know, you've got your first piece of hold where you're at. Hold'em, right? So we're playing Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em.
So that's if you're in your house and you're like, we've got this long list of reasons it doesn't work for us. That's not good. If you just got, I don't know, we can remodel a bathroom. Okay, so put your $20,000 aside and remodel the bathroom. Do something that's going to bring you feeling more comfortable in your home. Maybe it needs painting. You know, I just got a quote of $11,000 to paint inside a house.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, it's shocking. You know, get it painted. And we have lists of people for you. You can go to mountainhomehunt.com, click on contact us and say, hey, need a list of contractors or painters or plumbers or electricians or whatever it is. And just, put a brief line, make it so that we can cut and paste it and send it to them. And you'll get 2 or 3 calls within 24 hours. I wish I could say within half an hour. Sometimes that happens. And we do that for certified pre-owned as well. That's where you're prepping to sell your house. So have the appraisal. You don't have to if you work with us. It's just when I explain it to you, the vast majority of my sellers say that's a no-brainer. Do the appraisal, do the inspection, maybe offer a home warranty. That's the trifecta. Why? Because we're in a bit of a nervous market right now. And when those buyers get a little bit nervous, you want to take the nerves out of the situation. I've been doing certified pre-owned. That's what cars do, CPO cars, certified pre-owned cars, 156-point inspection, black book value on the car, and a dealership warranty. $20,000 car gets this treatment. Why doesn't a $500,000 house or a $300,000 house or a $2 million house? It makes no sense. When I explain it to you, no one can tell me why it makes any sense at all. Sellers go, well, doesn't the buyer do the inspection? Absolutely. So you want to give them a hammer to hit you over the head with, and that's why over 30% of contracts fall out. It doesn't appraise or inspect. Like, it's such a no-brainer. So you reduce that to about 7%. Why is it important if a contract drops out? You're like, oh, whatever, my house is great, it's going to sell again. You don't want to lose time in a market that's flat or declining. You don't want to lose that 4 to 6 weeks that you're going to lose. All the stress, all the energy. Now you have to start showings again, and you've got a stigmatized listing. And just by doing the inspection and the appraisal.
Up front.
And
all
then,
cards on the table, let's deal with what's there.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it's so interesting and obvious, really. So we do the appraisal. You know, I've been doing this since 2007. I know all the appraisers. We've got a team of appraisers that can come in and do it for you. So I get, everybody's waiting on tenterhooks for the appraisal to come back. You don't have to use that appraisal. You can slip it in a drawer and we'll never talk about it. I don't even have to see it if you don't want to. most often you like it because you've got a good idea of what your good idea is anyway. And if it comes in 50 higher, you're even happier. Not only that, when we do it at or just below appraisal, when we price it at that, we get multiple offers in. We just got one $50,000 over list price.
Wow.
And that it was priced just below appraisal. Actually, we got 2 offers in. One was 50,000 above. So, it works. It really does work. You see, if you want to hear more about that, cpoexperts.com, cpoexperts.com. I run that program around the country. All that really means is I train and coach agents. There's 300 people exclusive in zip codes all around the country now. So if you know somebody selling somewhere else, you've got to tell them about CPO. Have you had an expired listing? CPO it next time. It works. Is it an investment? Yes, it's less than $1,000 up front. However, that $1,000 will save you when you get into those negotiations, because that's what happens in real estate in North Carolina. You get under contract, you've got some due diligence money or no due diligence money. That's the money you get to keep as a seller. And then it might be zero. It might be $1,000 you get to keep as a seller. That's really great. So we do the inspections. We're essentially back into negotiation because the buyer can pull out all the way. I didn't make the rules, guys. The buyer can pull out all the way to the due diligence period, which is usually 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. They can pull out for any and no reason. All you get to keep as a seller is the due diligence, if that's anything at all. Meanwhile, they do an inspection. By the way, did I tell you over 40 items come back on the average inspection? It's terrifying, especially for a new home buyer or somebody that's not emotionally attached to your property, i.e. an investor, or perhaps you've got, a 6-bedroom home that's $2 million and investors are looking at it for whatever reason. Maybe it's not in an HOA or they're looking at it for a rehab facility or whatever it is. They're not emotionally attached. So having that appraisal in place and having the inspection in place takes all that off the table. For anybody, it does. So people ask about the process. Well, what happens next? We have the appraisal. Yes. So you and I get on the phone and we look at the appraisal and we say, how do you feel about this? Normally, honestly, the vast majority of the time, you're like, that's exactly where we thought it would be, or it's actually a bit higher, which is fantastic, right? Absolutely fantastic. And on the MLS, when it's listed, we can say certified pre-owned home. The buyer agents want to show your home more for obvious reasons. It's less likely to fall out. And it's hard work working with buyers out there. They want to see 6 homes, 12 homes, a whole bunch of homes before they're ready, and there aren't that many to see right now. So if yours is certified pre-owned, it's naturally going to go to the top of the list. Think about it if you were a buyer. Wouldn't you go for a CPO home? It's a no-brainer.
It is. It really, really is.
And then as a seller, you're not back into that negotiation of, well, I want $20,000 off because, there's 50 items on the repair request.
Right.
I don't want you to do anything. A good buyer's agent will say to the buyers, don't have them fix anything. You do it. Get the money. Because you can fix it and make improvements how you want to and know it's done to your standard.
It just makes perfect sense. It really, really does. And it makes perfect sense even if you don't fix everything that's on the list. You've just made everybody aware of it. We're not going to fix these windows that have a leaky seal in them.
Yeah.
No, but you can see these windows have a leaky seal. We're not going to replace them up front.
But you might want black windows or
vinyl clad or
vinyl
wood
clad.
windows.
Exactly.
Whatever,
so take the money. Now, what most often happens is that buyers take the money and they don't make the improvements. And then I come back to sell it 7 years later. Yeah, it's like, did we fix the things on the inspection?
The windows are still foggy.
Windows are still foggy, but the house might have been that way for 30 years. So, which is usually what the sellers say. You don't have to fix anything. That's the good news. We go through, we look at the appraisal, we go, is this a fair price or not? And it's got all the square footage on it. It's got an outline of the floor plan. So your square footage is now going to be uber accurate because an appraiser did it. They are the best people to measure. They're doing every single day. Mortgages are based on what appraisers say, not what agents say. In the old-fashioned pricing a home way, which I'll do. I'm really good at doing valuations, by the way. I will do it for you. The problem is everybody's not built equal. And then an agent is arguing with an agent. Well, why did you price it there? Well, I chose the one with the red door. Why did you choose that one? Why didn't you choose the one? That's old-fashioned real estate. When you can say, here's our appraisal, everything changes. Then we get the inspection. The appraisal is about value, the size of your home, compared to other homes that have sold, usually in the last 6 months. The inspection is looking at all the mechanical things in your home, health and safety. Does it all work as it's supposed to work? Are the appliances working? Does the heat work? Is your HVAC within 6 months of its useful life? Is it on its last legs? Are there any nail popping in the roof? Whatever it is. And I think the reason we don't do that up front sometimes is we're scared of it. But guess what? It's going to happen. If you're going to list your house, it's going to happen. But not only that, this stuff is happening in your house and you don't know about it.
Yeah.
And you want to know about it. So even if you do it and you're not quite thinking of listing yet, or maybe we'll sell in 5 years, do an inspection now for $475. And have time to get those things fixed.
Yeah, and stop a problem that's progressing.
Yes, especially if it's, small leaks somewhere, which are the really moisture getting in is always the difficult one. So what we do is we get on the phone and we sit down together and we notate that inspection report. It's about 50 pages long, and tell you it takes half an hour to an hour to go through it. And you can say, to heck with that, I'm not fixing it. The house was that way, 5 years ago when we bought it, 20 years ago when we bought it. It's never been a problem to us. Or you can say, we'll fix. And what you'll generally find is it's a bunch of plumbing issues or a bunch of electrical issues. We'll get an electrician in, do all the easy stuff that's inexpensive and just knock that off the list. So you're left with, or nothing at all. If you don't feel like you've got the funds to do it, that's okay too. It's just here's the difference. Everyone's eyes wide open, and we took the price into account based on what was on the inspection report. Right? Everybody goes in eyes wide open. We don't just share out your inspection or your appraisal out there. We wait till somebody puts an offer in, or we know they're going to put an offer in. We then share it with them, and we say, listen, your offer needs to be based on this appraisal and this inspection. We do not want you coming back because you've seen all these things. If you want to do your inspection, that's great. But we don't, if maybe your inspector finds 2 or 3 more things. I mean, they've got to find something, but they ain't going to find 50 most likely. So, it's not that you can't ask for repairs. Of course, that's your right. In real life, I can tell you it very seldom happens because they've got the inspection up front and the agent comes back and who's representing them and says, yeah, no problem. They understand all of these items. You see, that fear has gone away and they've put in an offer based on knowing what's wrong. And
they appreciate you letting them know.
Yes.
All warts and all.
Yeah.
What's here.
Yeah. It's a great house and it's got, the realtor's already done a great job listing it and showing the 30 great things about the house. And now, yes, it has some warts like all houses. There are no houses without warts. There aren't. I'm sorry.
No.
Just like us.
That's right.
There's none of us without a freckle or a grey hair or a pimple or
mole
I don't know,
or something.
Hair that's not growing in a space that's not meant to. Don't know what to tell you. But yeah, it's if you are thinking about selling, so that's we started off with hold it. Just make sure you're going to hold it and stay in it for the next 7 to 11 years. Don't procrastinate a year or two. That's my plea to you today. That's my little nudge. And listen, the first baby step could be setting up an appointment for me to come and see your house. You can be perfectly honest and say, I don't know if I'm ready. I go to those appointments all the time, honestly, because I can tell you that a lot of the things that you're thinking about doing are or are not worthwhile. I've also done over 42 remodels. I can give you little tips for $150 where you can make a big change in the kitchen, for example, and an hour's work, weekend, easy fixes. And honestly, what I do most often is I say, please don't do that. Because remodeling a basement might be one thing and adding square footage, but just switching out a half bath because, it's got a border around the top or something. Please don't do it. If it's a simple, easy weekend fix, fine. But apart from that, please don't have this honey-do list. Please don't go, well, wait until some more leaves are out, because that's what all your competitors are doing as well. Your competitors are the people who have a house like yours, and now our buyers have 3 houses to choose from. So you've got to compete even harder. Right now, you have a very little to compete with. It's just that time of year. What we'll need in a month is somebody like us who does a lot more marketing, that does the drones, that does the walking tour video. I walk around your home. It's really our key marketing piece. I do all the givens. We've got professional photos. You're out on hundreds of websites, the same as everybody else. We're part of EXP, one of the largest organizations in the country. It gets out in front of all those agents too. But most importantly, that walking tour video, me walking around saying, imagine yourself on this west-facing deck, watching the sun go down, sipping your martini. Oops, you don't drink, or your hot cocoa. That's, it's all about lifestyle in your home, and people want to feel like they've walked around it. And whether that's, the agent sending the video to the buyers in New York or California or Texas or Florida, DC, all the other places they're coming in from right now, or whether it's us sending it directly. We have over 30,000 searches set up on our website at mountainhomehunt.com. And again, if you want me to come out, just you can either dial at 828-333-4483 or go to mountainhomehunt.com. Click on contact. There's a little button in the black bar at the top. Say, don't want any pressure. Please come out and just chat with me about what needs remodeling in my house for sale in a year's time. And I'll come and tell you what to do, what not to do. Even if you're just thinking about it, it's good to have that conversation. You'll find a lot of people hitting you up right now going cash offers. There's all kinds of companies that do that. What they do is they sell the leads to realtors like me who are really looking to list your home. So be aware of that one going around as well. In fact, I had a client who wanted me to list the house, and she said, we're putting you off this week because we have somebody out coming to do a cash offer. What she didn't realize was it's a company that I won't mention, but they're a lead aggregator, and it was me who gained that appointment. She didn't realize it was me. I'm like, oops, that was me. So you're all good there. So one, your strategy is hold it, stay in the house. I don't want you to have a list of more than 3 things that you keep talking about in terms of the honey-do. Oh, I wish we had a screen-in porch. Oh, I wish we had this. I wish we had that. Because that honey-to-do list is going to stay there for the next 10 years. Just sell the house you don't need anymore, that you're heating and cooling and maintaining. And let's find you that screen porch for probably half the price of what you're in, especially if the kids have left and you're in a 4-bedroom home. Just saying. 2 is become a landlord. Lots of people are doing that. We want to move somewhere else, but we want to keep a foot in here. So we're going to become a landlord. We can help you do that as well. If you want to become a landlord, make sure you want to become a landlord for the next 7 to 10 years, because that's when you'll get out and make your money. You can still get out and make your money if you do it fairly soon. And that's it really for all of your strategies. You can become a landlord, you can stay put, or you can sell it now. Sell it now is kind of a subset of, do you want to be a landlord, or do you want to stay in the property you're in for the next 7 to 11 years if you own a home already, or if you're renting 3.5 to 5.5 when prices will most likely 99% be lower in that timescale. But do you want to spend the $72,000 in the next 3 years to pay somebody else's mortgage down, or do you want to spend it for yourself? 828-333-4483. Or you can go to mountainhomehunt.com, and start your search. This is Rowena Patton, All-Star Powerhouse, brokered by EXP. Great to be with you today. You can listen to any of our other shows at realestatenewsradio.com. realestatenewsradio.com. They're podcasts, hundreds of them on there. Thanks for listening, guys. See you on the radio next week.
This has been the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.